In the heart of Islamabad, the sound of sirens pierces the morning calm. The capital's main trauma centre, the Pakistan Institute of Medical Sciences, or PIMS, stands as a silent witness to yet another tragedy. Its emergency ward, once a place of daily routine, now hums with urgency. Outside its gates, security vehicles line the road. Police lights flicker against the hospital's white facade. This is where the survivors of the suicide bombing are being brought, where life and death now compete minute by minute. Inside, doctors rush between wards. They are used to pressure, but not to this, not to the sound of explosion victims being carried in, their clothes torn, their faces coated in dust and blood. Nurses whisper names, checking IDS, trying to match faces to lists. The blast struck outside an Islamabad court, an attack that killed at least 12 people and injured 27 more. It was swift, targeted, and devastating. At the hospital's entrance, a red sign flashes, "Emergency room." Beneath it, men stand frozen, relatives, journalists, and police officers. Some speak in low tones, others remain silent, eyes fixed on the doors that keep opening and closing. For the families, this place has become the threshold between despair and hope. Each ambulance that arrives brings both. One more chance, one more wound. The bomb exploded shortly before noon. Witnesses say the attacker walked toward the courthouse entrance where dozens had gathered for hearings. The blast tore through the crowd, scattering papers, shoes, and lives. Within minutes, the area was sealed off. The police called it a suicide bombing, one carried out with lethal precision. As the news spread, Pakistan's Interior Ministry released a statement. 12 people confirmed dead, 27 injured. The attacker's identity was not yet known. No group had claimed responsibility. Yet the pattern was painfully familiar. A courthouse, a public place, a symbol of justice, struck to spread fear. Back at PIMS Hospital, the flow of stretchers does not stop. Medical students assist senior doctors in triage. They cut away clothing, press gauze to wounds, insert IV lines. Critical, one doctor says. Stable, says another. These few words define the line between survival and loss. Outside, cameras roll. The exterior of the emergency ward is filmed repeatedly. The facade, the flashing lights, the guarded gate. For news crews, every frame matters. For those inside, every second counts. Security personnel move quickly, keeping the entrance clear. Police vehicles form a perimeter. The city's calm professionalism masks the raw fear that lingers in the air. Islamabad is no stranger to violence, but each attack carries a unique weight. A reminder that even in the capital, where embassies and ministries define the skyline, life remains fragile. This bombing outside a court of law was not just an assault on civilians, it was a blow to the idea of justice itself. By evening, the emergency department is still full. Family members clutch mobile phones, calling names that go unanswered. A few have found their loved ones, others search among the wounded lists taped to the walls. Inside, surgeons work without pause. The operating rooms are bright and cold. Outside, the night grows heavy. A cameraman adjusts his tripod, his lens capturing the quiet chaos, the steady rhythm of footsteps, the mechanical whir of ambulance doors. His images will later play on screens around the world, bearing silent testimony to a city's anguish. For those watching from afar, these are simply news clips. For Islamabad, it is another scar on a long, unfinished story. Security officials stand near the main gate, scanning each arrival. Some of them were at the blast site themselves, their uniforms streaked with dust. They know what they saw: the crater on the ground, the shattered glass, the burned-out cars. It happened in seconds, one of them says quietly to a colleague. He shakes his head. He has seen this before, too many times. As the night deepens, Islamabad's main roads empty out. The police checkpoints tighten. The hospital remains the city's focal point. Reporters file live updates. The Interior Minister promises a full investigation, vowing that those behind the attack will be brought to justice. It is a familiar phrase, repeated after every explosion. But in the corridors of PIMS, justice feels distant. Here, all that matters is the next heartbeat. In one corner of the ward, a young man regains consciousness. His bandaged hands tremble. He does not yet know that his friend, who stood beside him outside the courthouse, is among the dead. Nearby, a nurse adjusts his oxygen mask. She has been on her feet for 12 hours. She will not leave until morning. Outside, a crowd has gathered again. Some hold photographs, others carry prayer beads. The television vans are still parked across the street. Their lights glow against the hospital walls. It is past midnight now, but the scene remains alive, a living picture of shock and endurance. Across the city, the sound of the blast still echoes. On social media, citizens share videos and pleas for blood donations. Mosques open their doors for prayer vigils. Ambulance sirens fade and return. Every neighborhood seems to know someone who was there, a lawyer, a clerk, a passerby. The attack has touched everyone. In the early hours, the hospital staff begin compiling lists, those treated, those transferred, those who did not make it. It is administrative work, but every name carries weight. A doctor pauses before writing one more entry. He exhales slowly. Then he writes. The government releases new figures before dawn. Casualties remain unchanged. The city's security alert level is raised. Investigators cordon off the court complex. The remains of the suicide vest are found among the debris. The attack, they say, bears the signature of a local militant faction, yet confirmation will take days. At sunrise, the hospital is quiet again. Birds circle above the compound. The overnight tension begins to settle into routine, yet for many inside there will be no normal day. Some of the wounded will recover, others may not. Each ward holds its own story of pain, of survival, of the random cruelty of violence. Reporters return to the hospital gate. The camera pans once more across the red emergency sign, the parked police vehicles, the faces of security men standing guard. These images, simple, repetitive, almost ordinary, are the record of tragedy. They tell viewers what cannot be written, that life in Pakistan's capital continues under the shadow of uncertainty. Later in the day, as government officials visit the victims, television channels replay the same footage. The emergency sign, the ambulances, the flickering blue lights. Analysts speak in careful tones about security gaps and militant networks. But beyond the rhetoric, there is exhaustion of the quiet fatigue of a nation that has buried too many after too many explosions. In a small room near the hospital courtyard, a family waits. They have been told their son is in surgery. Every few minutes, they ask for updates. A doctor finally steps out, removes his gloves and speaks softly. Their shoulders drop. Their expressions do not change. They have heard what no one wants to hear. Outside, another siren wails in the distance. By evening, Islamabad begins to move again. Markets reopen, traffic returns. Yet at PIMS, the scene remains frozen in time. Reporters pack up their gear, but the scent of antiseptic and burnt fabric lingers. Security men lower their rifles and light cigarettes. Nurses wheel equipment down narrow corridors. A mother hums quietly beside her injured son's bed. The story will soon fade from headlines, replaced by another. But for those who were here, the survivors, the doctors, the reporters, this day will not fade. It will remain a moment when the capital, for all its composure, was reminded of its fragility. Every sign, every sound, every image of that hospital, from the glowing red letters of emergency room to the slow pan of people walking under the pale lights, now belongs to the nation's collective memory. They are fragments of resilience captured in motion, testifying that even in fear, humanity endures. By nightfall, the city's skyline returns to calm. The cameras switch off, the hospital lights stay on, and in those wards, under the constant hum of ventilators, Pakistan's fight to save lives continues, quietly, tirelessly, defiantly.